All right, welcome to week two, Murders of Karlov Manor League here. And we have our first feature match of the night, and it's two new players to our league. So it'd be fun to see what they bring to the table. We got Dirk here, all the way from Germany, I believe. So he's staying up past midnight here, so we thank him for that. Up against Alexis, and Raphael's going to tell us what's going on in Alexis's hand over there.
I like it and I don't like it. We're playing some Is It looks like so far. I guess he's deciding if he's going to keep the hand. It's got two mountains, two blue cards, Galvanized, Krenko, and the chase is on. So
Okay.
waiting to see if he puts it back. The two blue cards are the deuce and out cold. What's Dirk working with from his side?
Yes, so you like it because it's Is It, and that's sort of your pet deck in this set, but you don't like
I
it because
feel
of some of the color issues. Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, I mean, like there's a very real world where like he could just not get blue mana, right? Luckily, he just drew it, so that is off the table. We're ready to roll. I love it.
You mean he had it in his opening hand, right?
We wish, right?
Dirk is also going to get to play Magic here. He's got a Innocent Bystander, which he's about to cast. He's got Vitu-Ghazi Inspector. They went this way, the ramp spell, Vengeful Creeper. And then he's got a mountain, a forest, and an island also. So perhaps a blue splash of some kind. Or perhaps just a three-color deck. We'll see as it unfolds. Yeah, so I always love when we get new players stepping in the future match because we don't we don't know them, so we get to learn about them here as we go. And Dirk is learning that there's a rare that he's about to face down with no removal in hand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he has another creature to back this guy up, but I mean, Alexis does his galvanize and chases on to absolutely blow out any double blocks.
All
But it
right,
looks like Dirk is just going to ramp a little here.
so he's drawn a bit of a surprising card here, which is a lightning helix. So it looks like he's doing some
Oh,
splashing. He's got exactly one island and one plains in the deck. So it looks like he's base green red with a couple splashes here and there. But I don't remember all what Krenko does, but I know one of the options makes all the goblins bigger, right?
I believe it's when you sacrifice an artifact or when an artifact goes to the graveyard. I believe you can pay one, and then you can make a goblin, and then if you tap Krenko, all goblins get +1/+1.
Oh, you tap and sacrifice an artifact, right?
I'm not sure if he's sacrificing art. I really haven't gotten any playtime with Krenko. I feel like this is the
Okay.
one card in the set I really haven't seen.
Okay. So we'll see. So I believe that if he cracks the clue here, pays an extra one, he'll get a 1/1 token. But if the
I
Krenko doesn't grow, then the Lightning Helix will be able to nab it next turn.
He definitely will be able
Oh,
to nab. I,
and the
I
Goblin
believe he
has
was looking
haste.
for a red.
All right, and he's drawn a Torch the Witness here, so he has answers to potentially multiple threats. So you can have a pretty nice turn of play Lightning Helix and then play his Vengeful Creeper face down, and then next turn flip it up potentially.
I mean, if he plays the creeper, it's a. I guess it depends if Alexis gets a fifth land or not. Depends on if we'll see a galvanize on the 2/2.
Okay.
He did draw a technician about a turn or two ago, and then a shock last turn. So he does have multiple options than
All right.
deduce three
So
turns
he's
ago.
gonna leave up the Lightning Helix. I mean, I feel like the only possible play he's making is killing Krenko and letting your opponent have mana to potentially interact with that is not where I'd want to be. You know, like we always go with the heuristic, like play your stuff instant speed if you can. But if it's the only play you're making, I like doing it sorcery speed a lot of the time, just to be sure.
Yeah, I think it would have been like your opponent's in blue red, right? There's a
Yeah.
chance there might be like a counter or something.
You know,
Looks like
like if he's leaving up like a pump spell and a lightning helix, or a pump, or like a thrill of possibility effect and a lightning helix, you have options. But he's only play as lightning helix or crack the clue, I guess. But
you said his
he's
face
going.
down was the creeper, right?
Yeah, it's the vengeful creeper, so he's just gonna that thing's gonna die. He's gonna hit Krenko now, I suppose. Not
No,
sure why now
he
than
might be
later.
able to like absolutely do away with this. So I forget the plus ability, what exactly Krenko needs. If it's an artifact to sack, he has the deuce in hand.
Okay, like I said, I'm not intimately familiar. I don't think I've played it. I've played against it, and it usually just hits me for three a couple of times and then dies at some point. But
Honestly,
I
same.
do know I do know it has the ability to make your goblins larger at some cost. But yeah, that was like not an amazing turn for Alexis, right? Spend 3 mana to kill a disguise creature, and here comes another disguise creature. This time it's the Flourishing Bloomkin, which is a card I've liked quite a lot when you have time to flip it up.
The blue kit is extremely nice. I am reading Krenko here, and it does say sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter. So that's how the first part works.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward because like you want to be attacking with it rather than like tapping it to sack an artifact, but sometimes it'll happen. And a Vitu-Ghazi Inspector coming down here, getting the evidence trigger to make this bystander able to attack past a goblin, and I'm guessing we'll see an attack for 3.
Now this is awkward. He's going to galvanize it. You can tell he didn't really want
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Not where you want to be because you get the 2-for-1 anyway, right?
Exactly.
You get the clue anyway. Yeah, that's not the creature I want to aim my galvanizes at. I'm okay aiming shocks at it, but galvanize I'm a little less pleased.
Yeah, I'm assuming just technician, hold up the deuce, pass.
All right,
Other
I mean,
option would be to swing, chases on, but I don't really think it's worth it here.
okay. So let's see now. Oh, he's done a World Souls Rage, which can deal up to 4 damage as it stands. So
You say he's close to
like in
swing,
the
right?
middle turns and early turns, World Soul Rage just isn't great. It does scale with the game, obviously, especially if you mill lands and you can put them back into play and do something with them.
Yeah, it's like another pet card of mine. If I'm in like, just green good stuff, you just grab one of those guys as like a late game finisher or just as spot removal.
Yeah, it's just so inefficient though, right? Like it's like 4 mana for 2 damage, 5 mana for 3 damage. It's like quite bad, quite bad rate, but scales with the game, which makes it a bit more versatile. So, like I said, he has the 2 removals here: Torch the Witness and World Souls Rage. What's Alexis still got here? A couple cards that we know
Still, oh
about.
my gosh. Still the out cold
Right.
from the opening hand that
Yeah.
chases on, and then they just drew 2 shocks. So one off the
Okay.
clue and one per turn. So there's definitely interesting plays here. I would think out cold would be the play.
You can out cold attack for 5, or you could do it on opponent's turn to get an extra round of the creatures getting tapped. Nothing going on Alexa's side here. His face down creature costs 5 to flip up, and he does not have the 5 right now.
Well, this changes things. There is a cold case cracker, but it
Okay,
seems like
that's a solid play.
it's
Probably going to eat one of the removals here. I would have to guess. Okay, so Dirk's just going to crack his clue here. He's drawn another land, and he's just going to take the 3. He's got the escape tunnel that he's going to use at some point, I assume, to get land. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's saving it for the unblockable effect.
maybe.
He's got a Culvert Ambusher, which is at 4/5 that can make something block. Um, but he doesn't really have anything to do with that this turn.
It's going to take at least a turn or two to set up. And I don't know if Dirk has a turn or two to even try to set that up.
Yeah, because the thing he wants to kill is the Cold Case Cracker, but that's going to be attacking. So it looks like he's just going to go for the Bloomkin play here. And perhaps he's going to torch the witness. But he didn't crack his escape tunnel, so he doesn't have enough mana to kill this 3/3 right now.
That's only 2 potential damage, to be honest. I'm not really sure that's the damage you want to be doing right here.
Yeah, so what's been your experience with escape tunnel in like the mid turns? Like, do you hold it or do you just play it and just go get your land and don't mess around too much, especially when the game's not really that close to ending?
I think it depends on deck and game state, right? Like if your opponent's almost dead, you have some 2/2s on board, maybe like your white black with a vampire, then there's a world, that's going to end the game, or you have like an inside source to help
Yeah,
the 2/2 get in. But I mean, like if your board's not set up for it, I'm just cracking it
yeah,
more times than not.
I think the latter applies to his board here, right? Opponent's at 16, he
Yeah.
has no source of damage here. All right, so Alexa said, "I've set up my board. It's time to get on the offensive." And this is presenting a pretty quick clock here, especially with four power flying.
Yeah, I mean, with 2 shocks in hand and the chase is on, this game is looking to wrap up. If not this turn, next turn.
I mean, he could just go for the chases on and then kill with shocks. I mean, Dirk has green open, right? He could have just chases on and then untapped and shocked him next turn.
I like this play though. You just wait a turn, right? Like there's no rush. You just have to get one more peck of damage in, and then it's lethal from there with your shocks.
Yeah, we got a shock here for Dirk. He has to torch this cold case, so that is happening. And then he's gonna have I think 7 more mana to play with, so a bit of a flooding situation here. Unfortunately, he does still have cards in hand. They just don't match up with great against what's going on here.
Let's
So if
see.
he
How you
just plays, I think he's just playing his Culverin Ambusher face up, which means he is going to probably be dead here.
Yes. I would not be surprised to see the shocks come flying. Unless he wants to crack a clue.
Yeah, so Dirk does have a shock left in hand here, but all Alexis needs to do if he does go for the double shock plan is get one of these creatures in, so that works past a signal removal.
You have to see. There's like some sequencing where some people can mess up, right? Like he might try and go for the chases on first, and then get the creature blown out.
Yeah, we'll see what he does here. I mean,
regardless, either way, it's just GG, right? Just one flag
yeah,
to get in.
like when you're Alexis, the question is now how do I mess this up, right? Like how do I not mess this up,
Yeah.
right? Like there's still value in being careful here. Like opponent does still have mana. It's not a given that you win here. I mean, it's a pretty high probability, but again, not a given. Right? He's
Well,
just
this
going
is
to do
that
that.
world where
Shock's
Dirk gets
going
an
to happen. But the auto tapper may have betrayed him here slightly.
Yeah.
as we see. So it looks like Dirk's going to get another turn here, and because he's just going to
He's
shock
looking at
the
the other
face.
shock like, hello?
So now with the World Souls Rage, it looks like Dirk just actually gets to steal this game.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
I didn't. I almost forgot he had World Souls Rage.
So
Dirk is probably like, oh my god.
yeah. So the auto tapper is rough sometimes. In that case, the auto tapper actually ended up costing the game, and Dirk doesn't know that, but Alexis is will be probably a bit more careful tapping the mana, perhaps in future games here. Yeah, he's telling him he misplayed. I mean, usually you could tell them after the match, but yeah. So very much a green-red deck here with a couple splashes. So there may be some transformative sideboarding going on. I know Dirk mentioned he may want to change into another deck.
Yeah, from this side, the deck looks pretty fine to me. Like, it looks good. He's got 2 Lamplight Phoenix, Krenko, Explosion, 4 Cold Case Crackers. Like, the curve looks good. Like, it looks really good. I guess going into game 2, just doesn't make sure the man doesn't betray him. Yeah. But I guess they're going to redo. And
yeah, I think Dirk wants to make some changes. So we talked about this beforehand. If you are making heavy changes in between games, it's a bit easier just on the client and for quality of life to just have your adjusted deck ready and then enter into a new game with it with Dirk up 1 game. So I think that's what we'll be seeing here. But at a glance, Dirk's deck looked like pretty powerful. I mean, his draw was a little bit weird that time and a little clunky on lands, but I mean, look, he got there.
I mean, sometimes your opponents are out, right?
Okay. Okay, so he's not saying if he's switching or not, but it looks like he's just going back in with the same deck, so maybe a little bit of mind games here. So he asked his opponent before if it was okay that they did this, but it looks like he may just be playing the same deck after all.
That's got to be pretty funny. Like, what did they change? If they wanted to remake the game, they must have done like something transformative, right? And then you just see all the same greatest hits all over again.
Or you could just make your opponent think that you're switching everything. He's obscuring whether he's going to be switching his deck or not. It's a confidential file where some of the items have been redacted. Turns out he made absolutely no changes whatsoever.
It's very flavorful for the league, huh? Keeping mysteries.
So we know he didn't make any changes, but his opponent doesn't know that because he might have just selected a completely different deck as far as his opponent knows. But he made the strangest zero sideboarding move I've ever seen, which is to start a new match and then enter with the exact same deck. I would say that I should try it one time, but I don't think I will be.
It seems like too much work, right, to bluff someone.
It's still too next level, yeah. But it's that's a first. I mean, it's a first. I'll say that we've seen a lot in our league as far as strategies and decks and what to do in between matches. But this is the first time I've seen somebody enter into a new match with the telling their opponent there may be a switch, and then they just keep the same
Might be a strategy going forward.
deck. Emergence, yeah, you saw it here first. Next thing I know, it's going to be all my opponents for the rest of the week are going to be doing this, and I'm going to be scratching my head and wondering why I needed to waste the 30 seconds, but it's okay. So it looks like Alexis took a mulligan here. What's he working with?
Now, the first hand had no lands. The second hand has two lands, red and blue, Deduce, Shock, a Detective, a Strider, and he put the Cold Case Cracker back.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the Strider is for. I didn't really see any off colors except for the Hellion. You can play that with two red, but what's Dirk working with from that side?
So he kept a five-lander here with a World Soul's Rage and a Culvert Ambusher, but has drawn a Riftburst Hellion and a Quake Mole. This 8/4 for 4 mythic
That could
here.
be trouble. That could be
That thing,
trouble.
yeah, that thing I believe gives extra combats if it gets blocked.
Yes, and then for like
Something like
6 or 7
this.
mana, you can force the block.
Yeah, this is it's a problem if you don't kill it. It's also just an 8/4 for 4. Like this is like these stats are just absurd.
So with Dirk's current hand, there's really no way to deal with the mole outside of double blocking it, and or just single blocking it and eating it with the chases on. But
Okay,
this is more than likely going to receive a shock.
okay. I mean that could work. It could work to defeat it with chases on. Dirk doesn't have any instants. He just has the World Souls Rage. He has an all Gruul hand, right? World Souls Rage, Quake Mole, and the Riftburst Hellion in 3 lands. He does have all of
Really
his colors,
all the rule
so
does.
basically anything he draws will be more or less castable here. And this Reckless
Oh,
Detective, just so above rate for this set, right?
yeah.
Like
I mean, I
it attacks past the disguise creatures, which is there's like what, like one other 2 drop or two other 2 drops in the whole set that attack past it, past
it's
the
not
two
a very
twos.
common thing, right?
I mean, there's the rare, the 2/3, the white 2 mana 2/3, the 10th district,
Ah,
whatever.
the country. Yes.
But
I
I mean,
mean,
like, how many other cards just straight up beat beat a 2/2 at 2 mana? And here's a big one, 8/4
not
here.
ready. I'm pretty sure we're going to start looking for outs.
Yeah, I mean, Galvanize doesn't do it unless you've drawn a card.
Which is
Shock
easy
sure
with the
doesn't do it.
detective. I
So
mean, I think we're going to see a deduce here, see if we can find something. Another cold case cracker, that's not it.
yeah, definitely this is worthy of digging to
No,
defeat.
I think Alexis should attack here. He did get rid of the chases on surprisingly, but he
Oh,
did get a furious rage, so that's still a way
is that the
to win a
Felonious
combat.
one?
Yes, what
Okay,
would I call it?
you called
The
it
felonious.
Felonious Rage. You definitely you said the right word
Okay.
for sure.
So when you have a clue on the field, right? Do you still discard a card in hand if your hand's pretty fine, like, or do you go for the clue?
I mean, depends on the state of the game. I think in this state, depending on what's in his hand, I mean, it's all dependent. But I mean, I do like the value of sacking my clue for free.
Yeah, it's two cold case crackers and a flotsam jetsam. So I mean, like the hand's pretty expensive.
Like it's sort of like my head says like it's absolutely correct to sack the clue for free. And my heart's like, but that's a card that I could just get anyway later.
Which is
You
fair.
know?
I think there's a case for both sides.
So we're on the case then. Excellent. Uh, well, here's speaking of cases. Here's the cold case cracker.
Yeah, there will be no answer for this mole, at least until next turn. He could
So,
play the second caseworker, play a mountain, and then hold up Felonious Rage.
all right. I mean, that's an option. He's taking 8 here, which is not not insignificant.
I mean, that's what his last few turns of attacks and more.
Yeah. So Tunnel Tipster is the only non-land to have joined the World Souls Rage and the Rift Versaillion. So I'd imagine he's playing 2 creatures here, unless he decides to kill one of these with a World Souls.
You don't know how confident Lex is going to feel. Uh, well, I mean, I guess you don't have a choice, right? If this cold case cracker dies, and you just lose that option to
Yeah.
swing with one.
What's interesting now is that with Tunnel Tipster and another untapped land in hand, he can activate this the Quake Mole next turn
That's
to
going to be
force it to be blocked, which then grants extra combat.
This might not be bad anymore, though. Lexus just drew the Lamplight Phoenix.
Okay, that's something. Yeah, that card's just been so irritating, right? Like to play against.
It's good and bad, right? Like if your opponent just tosses it out on 3, that's your cleanest chance to answer it. But if it comes out any turn past what 5 or 6, more than likely they have ways to get it back.
But depending on what you played in the first couple of turns, it could come out with already being able to be to be brought back. You know, if you cycled the Topiary Panther, if you played Push or Flotsam or one of those modal the the split cards.
I haven't minded
It
seeing
could
it.
come fully stocked already. You know what I mean?
Let's see. Does he care to force the block? Because with the Phoenix, really, you could just double block the mole, right? It becomes a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Dirk doesn't have anything. Does not have anything here. Um, Interesting that he didn't try and go for the. Okay, so this is going to give an extra combat. Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. Interesting.
So he
Doesn't
can
Aphelios
flip up
age killer?
his 6/7 here, and that's going to get to attack again.
Yeah.
So if I understand this, if he would have he could have attacked with the tunnel tipster, I guess, if he tapped it in response to the quick mole, but it's okay. Doesn't really have
Ooh,
an
that's
attack
actually a
anyway.
good point.
So he just gets to attack with this Helion again. So pretty good value here. Like quick mole, like it did its thing. It attacked for 8. It then got an extra combat, and looks like it's gonna be gonna be showing up here again.
Does Dirk have anything to back up this board state next turn?
Well, he has a World Souls Rage.
I mean, I guess if Alexis just takes this,
Yeah,
then we could be looking
Fireball,
at lethal very soon.
Fireball, be Fireball. You know. I feel like having seen World Souls Rage, if I'm Alexis, even though it's a 60 card deck, I'd be like so hesitant to go down to a number like 6.
Yeah, we're
Just in
only one
case. You
land
know, like
away,
you know
right?
it's a possibility, right? He has 3 cards in his hand and 46 cards in the deck. What's the chance one of those cards is a World Souls Rage? I mean, somebody could do the math.
Well,
But
there's an interesting choice Alexis has here, right? He
okay.
just drew out cold for the turn. So if he out cold, then it's not lethal next turn at the very least. If he does not out cold, then Dirk has the mana required to just kill him.
I mean, I think he's probably just going to out cold just so he doesn't die to a 6/7. Like I think the Tunnel Tipster is just going to be collateral damage here in the out cold.
I would think so also. I'm surprised Dirk's not swinging with a detective first here, though. You can get some info at the very least, but we're trying to swing all, which I
Looks
like.
like looks like he's attacking everything. So he's He's basically telling his opponent, "I can either kill you or make sure your stuff doesn't attack me."
Yeah,
Okay, so this time he is sacking that clue on board just to get the extra card in hand.
which I think makes sense. So Derek can play the other land out cold, and then is that lethal next turn? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lethal in a turn. Oh no!
Oh, so
Oh
he's
no! Alexis.
no, he's still not going to be able to World Soul because if he does this, yeah, combat. See, if I'm Dirk, as soon as my opponent lets me untap, I'm just throwing this at
You
them.
just fired off, right? Maybe Dirk was playing around a counter or something like that. Maybe that's the only reason he did it like that. But now he's dead.
Yeah, funny. Well, I mean, he could just use World Soul on a creature to not die,
That
but
he also can do.
that doesn't strike me as yeah. So we see a little bit of a mistapping last game, and now we see a little bit of an error here. I would say. As soon as my opponent, if unless my opponent is outcolding my creature on upkeep, as soon as it's my main phase, I am making 8 mana and throwing 6 damage in my opponent's face here.
Yeah, I would have sent it there also because like outside of the World Soul's Rage, what else is in hand?
Yeah, I wouldn't even go to attacks. I would just do it immediately. But now he has to sort of backtrack and he has to use the World Soul's Rage on a creature here. But the prospects are still not good because he's still going to be taking like 5 damage
Yeah, because
anyway he
I
kills
guess you
one.
have to. You probably hit the detective, right? Phoenix is pointless because you're still dead.
Well, he'd say I'd rather do the Reckless Detective, so to
Yeah.
limit the card filtering. Or, well, with clues in play, it's just straight up card advantage rather than filtering.
Imagine a world where Alexis had another felonious rage. Oh, wait, that's still lethal. Never mind.
Oh, right.
The one time the cornered crook gets work done.
All right. Well, yeah, yeah. It's like that's a card I haven't found a lot of good uses with. It's been a little bit of an awkward card, but when you're dedicated, is it and have all the artifacts, it's pretty nice here. All right. Well, we see we see each other player should have won each game, I think. So it's even out here. Alexis had the
I,
first game, and Dirk grabbed it away, and then we see the opposite here. So funny how that works sometimes.
They remind me of the story of the very cautious hero who's just like overly cautious about everything he does. Except we're not getting the end result of the cautious hero. I guess it
Right.
just goes to show, though. I think one thing a lot of people say about this format is you can really die to almost anything, right? It just feels like you're never safe at a certain point in the game.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So just looking at finally getting a good look at Dirk's deck here. The blue splash is for double Cryptic Coat.
Double cryptic coat. That's
The
disgusting. We
the
haven't seen
white
it.
the
They haven't
white
revealed it
splash is for Lightning Helix and Buried in the Garden, and he also has a bunch of on color rares that we saw a couple of them, but he also has Krengo's Buzz Crusher, the Yarus, the 4/4 that cares about face down creatures. So yeah, I mean I believe he's 4/5, and Alexis is 5/4, so they're right basically in the middle of the pack here, almost the same record. Um, so they all have about the same amount of cards that they're working with. Um, I think I saw Dirk bring in a Fanatical Strength, I believe, but not too much else.
Yeah, I'm looking at Alexis' deck here, and they've kept the Grave Shredder in, but outside of Flotsam Jetsam and what's the other one? Push, not Push Pull. It's escaped me right now. The Jeskai colored one. Give all attacking creatures
Yeah,
+1. Yeah, Fuss
Fuss.
Bother.
Oh yeah, or Bust
Outside of that,
Butler,
though,
as I like to say.
I don't know why the Grave Shredder is here.
I mean, it could be a little bit of
Maybe it's
graveyard
early
hate. Could
start.
be a little bit of mana filtering just in case he gets color screwed. It's an artifact. It doesn't check any of the boxes well, but it checks them.
Yeah, I mean, just for graveyard hate, that's next level.
Like yeah, I think it would be like below satisfactory. Like when I was in elementary school, I used to get those like progress reports, and there was like satisfactory, and then like below satisfactory. It was between unsatisfactory and satisfactory. So what does the gravestone try to do? It checks all the boxes. It just doesn't check them like that well. So
Maybe
what's Alexis got
I'm
this
not
game?
getting color screwed anymore. Maybe that's what he's saying. But there's a Island Mountain. I believe this is the first clue card that I've seen. Rookie mistake in a league match, and then
Okay,
Deduce, Galvanize, and the Hellion.
okay. I mean, I played a Pharaoh Prowler today. Does that count?
I did not see it, but it does count.
It's a 1/3 cat. It's right up my alley. Apparently, it's right up a bunch of the alleys in Ravnica. So in hand for Durkee has the Escape Tunnel, the Mountain, which is going to allow him to play his 4/4 Flying Trample next turn, the rare, as well as a Rift Burst Hellion and a Galvanize. So pretty nice hand. And he got a little bit of value by surveilling the convenient target into the graveyard. Not a card I've liked that much, but I mean, surveilling into the graveyard, that's about the best thing you can do with it on turn one.
No attack.
Huh.
What is
Interesting.
this?
I mean, I'm always attacking my innocent bystander into a morph or face
Yeah,
down
I'll
creature.
take
My
your
opponent's
three for
tapped
my
out.
two.
Like this 2/1 this 2/1 will happily trade for anything. Well, here comes Buzz Crusher, which was
Luckily for Alexis, there is a deduce with a galvanize, so Buzz Crusher can go bye bye.
yeah. Well, yeah. Buzz Crusher was sideboarded all over in the Pro Tour in Pioneer because it kills Lotus Field, but that's another story.
How'd that work out for them?
I mean, I'm sure it killed Lotus Field a few times. Like it doesn't target, so for some reason they just decided to word it that way, as you do. Um, I don't think it. I don't think it was too much of a bother. But yeah,
Let's see.
it's
Will we get a swing this turn?
all
Okay.
right.
Last turn, the time wasn't right, but this turn, it's right.
He says, "You know what? The bystander was innocent. Maybe it's less innocent now."
Yeah, I feel like you'd hold your Hellion back because he has land in hand and only one land away from flipping the Hellion. And then there's a Courier and a Cold Case Cracker in hand. So
Yeah,
there
I'm
seems to be
curious.
to that point.
But by flavor definition, an innocent bystander should probably just be a defender if you're looking for the full flavor. Like an innocent bystander would not attack someone, right?
I'm trying to think now. Has there ever been a defender where the toughness was lower than the attack? Outside of being a 0/0.
Um, Jaded analyst from this set.
I guess it can't be. Huh? And you were absolutely correct. It's a 3/2. Okay.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'm not saying it should be a defender. I'm just saying a card called Innocent Bystander. You would think it's something that would have no power and couldn't really attack much.
He's supposed to just be a bystander, right? Just chilling on the side.
Yeah, but I guess when bystanders have enough, they strike back, perhaps. All right, so he's just gonna suit up. He's just gonna suit up his face down creature as a convenient target and just try and go to town here.
Interesting. I mean, if Dirk wants to apply the pressure, or not Dirk, Alexis, they drew a Krenko for turn, but I'm
Okay,
not sure if they'd
that's
still rather use the mana on the Cold Case Cracker instead.
okay. Yeah, so Dirk in hand has shock, galvanize, and two rift burst Hellion, so he can kill a couple creatures and play these face down over the next couple turns, but he's not doing anything spectacular, we'll say.
I guess Alexis is thinking about which way to sequence this. I guess that's the weird thing about Morph, right? Like, Rookie Mistake's a pretty good card, but like
Rookie
against a
mistake
Morph,
is what a creature gets
one gets
minus
+2, one gets -2.
plus two plus oh -2 -0.
I believe so.
Okay,
I
that was a
haven't
card
played with
that
it
that was a card that
myself.
didn't end up getting much play in its limited format, which I was a core set.
I'm not sure. Was that like core set like 2019 or older than that?
I thought it was 20 or 21, but it was not highly played either way. I can say that with some certainty. So once again, the auto tapper has struck again because he's played his face down creature and has a shock and a galvanize in hand, only able to cast one.
Well,
But
I assume Franco is coming to play this turn.
so Krenko is going to be not killable by any removal spell that Dirk presently has here. Whether that becomes a problem or not, we'll see. He does have a Rift Burst Hellion that he could flip up next turn here on defense or offense, as it were.
Yeah, I would assume you just want to stay on offense, right?
So Alexis, he could have saved the cold case, if I believe right.
With
Does a rookie mistake give it gives plus O plus two, right? It doesn't pump power
I thought it was power, to be honest.
for a blue spell.
You would be absolutely correct. So
Rookie
yeah,
mistake.
yeah. So I guess he could have pumped its power, the minus another creature's power.
Yeah,
Now,
so it's pump toughness and
increased toughness.
decrease power.
Is it
We're
power?
not
Look, now I gotta read this card
we're not
again.
decreasing toughness
Uh,
because then it's just a kill spell. Then you're just casting disfigure.
yes, you're absolutely correct. One creature gets plus O plus two. Another target creature gets minus two minus O.
Apparently, blue gets now pump spells and disfigures. Okay,
Why
all
not?
in one
Why?
card. I'm
It's
amazed.
about time. If green can absolutely destroy the color pie, why can't blue?
Blue destroys the color pie on a daily basis, but yeah. All right. So Krenko's down here now, could make a potential problem, and I see the Rift Burst Hellions look to have traded. So he's got the Vengeful Creeper here underneath the disguise. Nervous Gardener was the draw for turn, and he has another Rift Burst Hellion and a Shock. So interesting to see
Interesting.
how he approaches this.
Is there a world where he goes for the race, like flips it, hits in for six, and then holds the shock? 'Cause he's not in trouble of dying next turn.
I am not certain exactly the wording on Krenko, but I believe that if he flips up his thing and kills the clue, which it's not a may, I believe you have to destroy an artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Um, Alexis will get to make a free goblin, I believe,
Yeah.
which
Now
is
we give him what? Three,
pretty
four,
bad.
five, six.
All right, so attacking here because he's not allowed to do anything else with this creature.
So not flipping, so developing, holding up the shock,
I mean, could just play two face downs.
which I think sounds good. I mean, I would be on defense at that point, right?
Yeah,
If I
two
can't
face
kill you,
downs seems reasonable here. Yeah, so he's just gonna go for two face downs. Shock is off the table for this turn, but it doesn't kill the thing he wants to kill, so that's not the end of the world. All right, so here comes another deduce. So
ooh, there's a fuss bother drawn along with an island.
okay, that could start a bit of a mess here for Dirk, especially if he makes
Almost
three Thopters.
3, 6. There's no mana betrayal that can happen here. If he hits bother, there's no way to save up that extra one to make a goblin. Do you just swing with the 2-1 here? Or you use all out defense this turn?
That's interesting. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Alexis decides. I mean, there's different ways you could play this. Like this is where it's interesting to see the decision points, right?
It feels like every game is what? Just two ships passing by at night until a certain point in the game your life gets low enough and you're like, okay, cool. I have to block. I don't want to, but I
But
just have
it
to.
might be too late then, though.
You're not wrong.
I found that's more for draft than league. League, the games play out a bit differently. I find they're a bit more interactive. A little
I feel
bit.
like
The decks
yeah,
are the decks are less streamlined, obviously.
which makes sense. I mean, it's still only week 2, right? There's still about 2 to 3 more weeks before Panic actually settles in.
For some, for some.
Oh, swinging with the Krenko, huh? I guess it's
Okay.
fine. Maybe Alexis decides to rookie mistake if they double block, but there's no need.
Yeah, I mean, Krenko's not going to die if he doesn't want it to.
Oh man, which play do you go for? I feel like you want to fuss bother here, right? So like they can
Make the
either fuss
Thopters.
bother, yeah, make 3 copters, scry 2.
It's really
I
hard to
really
die
don't
from
feel
there.
like you want a furtive courier. Well, there's another option that they have also, but I feel like you want to save that one, which is cracking your clues to making goblins. But the goblins have haste, so it'd make more sense to just fuss
Mm.
bother, use your Thopters as blockers, and then you could sack the clues, make 2 goblins, and have lethal next turn if there's no blockers available.
You are the is it specialist this format, so what you say goes.
I mean, Alexis has tools here, a lot of tools to work with.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's part of the appeal of this deck, right? Is like you get these clues that are not just pay 2 mana, sacrifice, and draw a card. They do other things, right? The clues, like in most decks, the clues are just clues, but in the blue-red deck, you can do stuff with them. Ooh,
Even funnily enough, I
Cryptic
mean,
Code off the top. Interesting draw.
it's pretty good. I just thought of it now. Alexis even just like if no blockers, granted there's going to be, but he could just swing with Krenko and a bystander and have Lisa with Futh. So there's just so many different ways all this can play out.
All right, so Nervous Garden getting flipped up, getting another land here. So we'll see how Dirk approaches the attacks, aside from the one that is suspected, and I think he's just going to attack with that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
so now they're both basically going to represent 3 unblockable damage. Alexis with the Furtive Courier, and Dirk with the Cryptic Coat that he's about to play.
right.
He's also considering flipping it up here.
I don't think you want to do that.
I think right now he doesn't want to allow Krenko to trigger, honestly.
Yeah, I think just playing another body is good enough here. And what's the last card that Dirk has in hand?
It's a shock.
Shock?
So that could be useful here.
I mean, it's probably going to get aimed at the Furtive Courier.
Yeah, almost assuredly, because the Furtive Courier just hits twice on its own for the win. All right, Krenko's starting to do its thing, and he says, I'm going to now take this opportunity to get this thing off the board, because I don't like it a bit. I don't like it at all.
Oh, it was an island, and then a shock drawn for the turn.
Right.
I think I still would have really liked to see the Fuss Bother happen last turn. We'll have to see how all these decisions play out, because there's quite a few.
I mean, they both his plays represent like lethal in 2 turns potentially. The 3 Thopters obviously being a lot harder to interact with, right? That's the whole thing here.
Yeah,
I believe we have a mountain. I believe it's some kind of a land. I believe under this under the coat here.
And what, you can only cast creature spells that are under the coat?
Well, you could flip them if they're a creature.
But if they're not a creature, they just remain morphs.
Yep, they stay face down.
Yeah, let's really thinking here. What options?
There is the one card, the Mythic Atrata, that lets you do stuff with your cloaked cards, but otherwise.
Yes, the one that pays 4, flip it.
Yeah, so you can basically turn it into a spell and you get to cast it, but not so much here. We got the Cryptic Code in play, which is one of the few equipments I've ever seen that doesn't actually have an equip cost.
Oh, okay. We're just passing the turn.
Right, so we're on full defense here. What's the instance that Alexis has to?
Shop, rookie mistake, and then of course Krenko just popping out goblins.
Okay. So he's got to galvanize here. If he aims at Krenko can activate, right?
Yes.
Okay. But this is going to be, I mean, he is representing a potentially lethal attack here with 3 unblockable and 3 menace and then 2 other creatures.
I can't see Alexis double blocking the 3/3.
All right, so he's going to sack his clue to make a goblin, and then good chance he's going to sack the other clue to save Krenko and put a counter on the others.
Wait a minute. Is he going to hold up 2 mana? Huh.
Yeah, so he sacks that, and everything gets pumped. Is the bystander a goblin as well? Oh, it sure is. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, no goblin is innocent. Let's be real here.
That was well maneuvered. I don't know why. I forgot Krenko gets the counter also.
Just 3. Oh no, that's what I was thinking. So he sacked a clue to draw a card, paid a red to make a goblin, then sacked the other clue to the Krenko ability, paid red, made a 1/1, and then everything got a counter. So if we didn't know what Krenko does, we now know everything it does, and it does a lot.
Well, surprisingly enough, if this is all that's coming, there is a fuss bother coming next turn.
Okay, that's
Followed
lethal.
up by a shock. So
I mean, he
that's
has.
100.
I mean, why didn't he just attack with the creature that can't block? That's a curious one.
That's a very good point because it's suspected, right? Maybe it was like
Yeah, it can't block.
yeah. Because I mean, like I just see menace from my side, right? So I might completely forget it's suspected and just think it's a menace creature. Because normally, don't suspected creatures have like that yellow logo on it?
It does. It does on our side. It has the little yellow dude, yellow
Yeah,
symbol
it's
in the bottom left.
interesting. There is no yellow symbol on this side except for the cryptic coat.
Okay. Well, we see it here. So all right.
Interesting.
So looks like unless we get a misclick of some kind, Alexis is gonna have lethal. That play to save Krenko. I mean, it was on board. So I don't know. I don't know if Dirk was aware of all the different abilities and the capability of what happened there, but Krenko really taking over this late game, really showing what it can do here to make the difference on what was otherwise a potentially even board here, and he's just fussing for good measure here, even though it's well beyond lethal without it. But
Those
yeah,
wild four turns were amazing.
yeah, fun match here. I mean, the first couple games we saw a couple of missteps lead to unexpected victories, and then the last game came right down to the last couple turns and a couple of key cards making the difference here. So very fun match from these two new players. Congratulations to Dirk, or sorry, congratulations to Alexis for winning the match, and we'll be back a little bit later with our second match of the night.